What gay church leader recently said, "I always wanted to be a June bride"? Why isn't the HRC supporting openly gay candidates? And what the hell is Reverend Wright doing? Hi, I'm Chappie Grant and you're watching Flaming Politics, your independent look at the issues affecting the LGBT community. Today I'm going to go and start talking about Reverend Wright and all the stuff that he's been saying, but first, here are the headlines you need to know this week. Openly gay Episcopalian Bishop Gene Robinson is causing a stir across the pond this month as he announced that he plans on marrying Mark, his longtime partner, this June, the same time as the church has its once-a-decade Lambeth Conference, where leaders from around the world meet to discuss the issues affecting the worldwide church. The Anglican Church has been teetering towards a schism in recent years, as the more conservative leaders of the church balked at Robinson's ordination, as well as the U.S. Church's practice of blessing same-sex marriages. Says Bishop Robinson, responding in an op-ed this week in the London Times, "Our civil union will no doubt be reported by the press. I can't stop that. But I can rejoice that somewhere in Idaho, or Ontario, or Sussex, there's a gay boy or lesbian girl who will read about it, and know that they too can aspire to a healthy, whole life with a person of the same sex, and that they don't have to give up their faith along the way." Music producer and former Human Rights Campaign Leadership Equality Award winner Howie Klein blasts the HRC this week on his blog, Down with Tyranny, calling them an organization so concerned with looking mainstream and adult inside the Beltway that they will support the worst enemies of gay people on the political scene. Klein's evidence is Monday's HRC Senate endorsements, especially their support of Maine Republican incumbent Susan Collins over her Democratic challenger, Tom Allen. Klein points out that by their own rating system, Allen scores 100% on support of LGBT issues, while Collins only rates a 78%. Klein saves his most damning criticism, however, for HRC's refusal to endorse North Carolina Democrat Jim Neal. Why is he so upset? Well, Neal's candidacy marks one of the first times an openly gay man has run for a U.S. Senate seat. You'd think this is something that the HRC would get behind and support, however, they're not. When Klein spoke with Neal about why the HRC isn't supporting him, Neal said, "People look to HRC to encourage participation and promote and change in the political system. Is it doing that? That's a valid question, and after this election is over, I think we need to look at groups like the HRC and their endorsement process." So, this is where we normally have the comment of the week, but since next week is going to be nothing but comments, I'm going to skip it and move right on to the big story. Ever since Reverend Wright's comments first surfaced earlier this year, I've been arguing that you can't judge a man based on his pastor's beliefs, and in fact that's essentially a religious test. Belief and faith live in a separate sphere from politics. It's one of the great achievements of U.S. democracy over other countries. But on Monday, Reverend Jeremiah A. Wright Jr. decided to talk to the national press. Again, at length. He called the attacks on his statements an attack on the black church, not him. He admitted that his bodyguards were members of the Nation of Islam. He praised Louis Farrakhan and he denounced Zionism. And he plunged a dagger into Obama's candidacy by seeming to confirm fears, especially white fears, that Obama secretly believes Wright's extreme points of view by saying, quote, "He had to distance himself because he's a politician from what the media was saying I had said, which was anti-American. Whether the dagger proves to be fatal is yet to be seen. However, his talk seemed as if it was almost designed to repudiate Obama's own speech made at the Constitution Center about race. It covered the same historical ground, tried to provide context, but instead of reaching out for unity, it highlighted the divisions between black and white. He rehashed his belief that AIDS was created to put down black people, which manages to offend me both as an American and as a gay person. I've been asking myself why Reverend Wright would be saying these things now. And after looking at the transcripts and thinking it over, I've come to the conclusion that it's simply ego. One of the worst aspects of the last 8 years has been the heavy-handed way in which religion has been foisted into the American political sphere. And that's exactly what Reverend Wright is trying to do. I understand his desire to make mainstream America more aware of his views and of the historical importance of the black church, but it seems to me that he's using Obama's candidacy to do it. Now I'm recording this on Monday, and I scrapped what I was originally going to talk about because I think this is going to be the main topic of the week. And I don't know how Obama's going to respond to it. And honestly, I don't know he can respond to it. The tragic part of this is that Reverend Wright seems to be an admirable pastor. His language and his teachings, though, just like any religious teacher, ought to be reserved for those who seek them out. I don't begrudge Reverend Wright for his beliefs, though I strongly disagree with them. I don't think it's unpatriotic for someone to question America's checkered past, especially when that person has been willing to lay down their life to protect the country. And I certainly don't think Obama should be judged by his pastor's beliefs. But I have nothing but contempt for Reverend Wright's decision to force his religious beliefs onto me and onto this election. This is Jaffe Grant, and you've been watching Flaming Politics here on Logo.